So when we look at this, we have to realize that thought travels very quickly. In fact, scientists say that thought travels the speed of light. And they did some experiments. I think it was Duke University years ago. We're doing this experiment where students at the university were communicating with astronauts in space. So they were hundreds of thousands of miles apart. And they were, thinking and concentrating on a picture or an idea and sending that message to those astronauts. And I think it was a very high percentage, like 85% of the time, that message was getting through to them. What happened with the ones that didn't? Probably the concentration wasn't enough. They weren't focused enough. So we have to understand that thoughts are things, thoughts travel, and that determines how you live in your life. Those thoughts, how you're thinking. So many times people dismiss the whole thing about mindset. Oh, I got a great mindset. I'm a positive mindset. This and that and everything. Great, because that's the beginning. But do you have the thought process that will take you to those heights that entrepreneurs can go to? And when you start to realize that it's not luck, that it's an exact science as to how to do this, then you start to realize that you can do this in all aspects of your life. And you don't have to look at somebody else and be jealous or try to compete with them. No, just be creative. Figure it out for yourself and find the help, people like me who can help you to develop the entrepreneurial mindset in order to get you to where you want to go and to get you to the good that you desire. Understand that there is a power behind this, and that power is the source energy. You can call it source energy, you can call it infinite intelligence, you can call it God, you can call it Allah, whatever your religious background is, there is a source energy and there's a power that's bigger than you. And that's the one thing you have to accept, that there is something bigger than you that knows all. In my very favorite book, Signs of Getting Rich, Wallace D. Wallace talks about it this way. He says, there is a thinking stuff from which all things are made. A thinking stuff, which permeates and penetrates and fills the inner spaces of the universe. So it's omnipresent. That's the thought stuff. It's around us all the time. A thought in the substance produces a thing that is imaged by the thought. So whatever you want, you can produce in that, the thought substance. And man can form things in his thought. And by impressing those thoughts upon this formless substance, can cause a thing he thinks about to be created. Now, you can believe that or you don't have to believe that, but that's the way things happen. That's exactly the way musicians compose music. And I can talk about that because I'm a music teacher. And I was not really a composer. That's not my thing. I'd rather be the performer. But a musician will get a thought. They'll get a melody. It'll be spinning in their head. And then they write it down, and then it becomes a thing. And then somebody performs it, and it becomes, recorded. But it all started with a thought. And then it became a thing. But that's what we do. We're like composers of our life. So it's our choice to decide whether we're going to live big or we're going to live small. And if you're living small, just realize it's your choice. And it's okay. You can choose to live small or you can choose to live big. But it is a choice. It's not something somebody else does to you. It's a choice. Understand that our thinking has been programmed. We have been programmed from the time we were small children. From even when we were still in our mother's wombs, we were being programmed genetically and environmentally. And you can see genetic programming. That's why you look like another family member, because of the genetic programming. But there's also some genetic habitual thoughts that come along with that. And so you tend to do things like your parents or your grandparents because it's that part of the genetic. And then it's environmental. What things have you picked up from the friends you have and the things that you've done and the thoughts that you have. So it's both. And our programming has caused limitations to be put in us. And so it's our responsibility to be able to unlock those limitations so that we can live the life we really want. And you can do it. It takes work. It takes study. It takes time. It's not something you just flip a switch and it's done. It takes knowing who you are. That's why this show is called Your Inside Power, because it takes going inside of you to figure things out. I just got off the phone with my accountability partner, and I was saying that this week I've spent a lot of time doing work inside of me, really clarifying my goal. And sometimes, and I've been guilty of this, I have a goal, but it's very vague. And so I needed to really clarify my goal. Why do I have to clarify? Well, because if I don't have a clear vision, how can I relate that to this substance? If my goal is vague, then the result's going to be vague. And usually vague means it's not